In the dust of the battlefield, swords clashed like flashes of steel. The air vibrated with cries, clashes, and pent-up breath. The earth trembled beneath the combatants' feet, and each movement became a fragile dance between life and death. A young samurai advanced, his gaze fixed on the horizon, knowing that each step could be his last. Facing him stood a larger, faster, more experienced enemy. The veins in his arm throbbed with exertion, his breathing heavy, but his mind sought clarity amidst the chaos. For at the moment two blades meet, it is not brute force that decides but the state of the soul. Miyamoto Musashi said, "The true warrior is not the one who wins 1,000 battles, but the one who defeats himself." This truth resonates like a thunderclap in the heart of the one preparing to strike. The outer battle is but a mirror. If it trembles, it is because your heart doubts. If your sword wavers, it is because your mind is divided. The adversary, however formidable, only reveals the inner cracks you already carry within you. Then the young samurai leaped forward, his blade arcing swiftly through the dust-laden air. The metal squealed as it met his opponents. The impact resonated in his bones. But he didn't falter. Every blow was a silent prayer, every block an affirmation of his will. He knew that if he allowed fear to enter for even a moment, defeat would seize him immediately. And you, what would you do if your honor depended on a single choice? If, in a decisive moment, your dignity, your worth, and your truth were to be affirmed in a single gesture, would you have the strength to strike with your whole being, or would you retreat into the shadows, hoping the storm would pass? Battle does not forgive hesitation. He who doubts dies twice, first in his own mind, then by the other's blade. The external battlefield still exists today, but its appearance has changed. It is no longer always sabers clashing, nor armies facing each other. Modern wars are fought in invisible arenas. They take the form of social pressures, economic burdens, humiliating words, judgmental glances, decisions that test your courage. Every day you are summoned to a battlefield that no one sees. And in this silent fight, the wounds don't bleed on the skin but inside in the soul. Every trial is a blade coming at you. The criticisms that seek to crush you, the injustices that strike you without warning, the losses that break you, the temptations that lead you astray. You cannot avoid them. But you can choose to face them like a warrior, with the certainty that your reaction will decide your victory or defeat. The samurai of old, before each duel, prepared as if it were his last moment. Not with despair but with intensity. For knowing that the end can come in a breath pushes a man to give himself completely to the present. Do you have this intensity in your daily life? Or do you let your battles play out halfway as if every decision could be postponed until tomorrow? External combat is a school. It teaches you to resist, to strike true, not to give in to panic. But above all, it teaches you clarity. For in the tumult of the world, only those whose minds remain clear can see the way forward. As Sun Tzu said, in the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. He who keeps his gaze steady and his heart upright can transform every blow landed against him into an opening for triumph. Imagine for a moment that your entire life is this battlefield. Every obstacle you encounter, every rival, every difficulty is just an adversary come to test the strength of your spirit. Some days you will win. Others you will be beaten. But what matters is not the injury, it is the decision to get back up. The real fight never ends because as long as you breathe, the world will test you. The young samurai that day finally defeated his enemy. But his victory did not lie only in the other's fall. It lay in the conquest of his own fear. In the moment when he decided that his honor was worth more than his life. In the choice not to retreat, even when everything inside him screamed to flee. And you, are you ready to face the battles of your existence? When life looks you in the eye and raises its sword against you, will you be the warrior who trembles? Or the one who, despite everything, moves forward with calm and determination? The greatest war has no witnesses. It doesn't shake the earth, it doesn't resonate with the clash of swords. It takes place in silence, hidden from view in the most intimate place, your mind. There, no enemy has a face, no blow is visible, and yet the wounds are often deeper than those of external battles. Doubts arise like elusive shadows, fears like storms that obscure your vision, weaknesses like invisible enemies that strike without warning. Yamamoto Tsunetomo, Don Luhagakure wrote, "The way of the samurai is death." Many have never understood the depth of this lyric. It is not a call to suicide or a morbid obsession. It is the acceptance of the end of everything that prevents you from being fully alive. It is the death of the ego that constantly demands recognition. It is the death of the illusions that lull you with lies. It is the death of the excuses that prevent you from moving forward. To be reborn in clarity, you must first die to yourself. Look within yourself honestly. How many times have you failed not because you were actually weak, but because you gave up early? You listened to an inner voice that whispered, "This is too hard," or another that said, "This isn't for you," and you gave in. Every time you listen to these voices, you give victory to your invisible enemies. The inner battle is the cruelest because your adversary knows all your flaws. He knows where to strike, in your memories of shame, in your regrets, in your insecurities. He reminds you of every past mistake to prevent you from believing in tomorrow. He makes you imagine catastrophes to paralyze you in the present. And every time you believe his lies, you lose a part of yourself. But there is one weapon more powerful than all these attacks: discipline. Contrary to what many believe, discipline is not a prison, it is a liberation. It is not a chain that prevents you from living, it is the key that unlocks the door to your true power. Discipline kills inner chaos. It silences the voices of doubt. It brings forth a new clarity, a quiet strength that no longer depends on circumstances. True freedom isn't about doing what you want when you want. It's about choosing consciously, about acting on your values, even when everything in you wants to give in. Discipline is the invisible sword that cuts through indecision, that cuts through illusions, that frees your mind. So ask yourself this question sincerely: are you ready to die to the old version of yourself? Are you ready to let go of the fragile identity that hides behind its excuses, its justifications, its destructive habits? Because as long as you cling to it, you remain trapped in invisible chains. The most dangerous enemy isn't out there. He doesn't wear armor, he doesn't wield a blade. He hides in your thoughts, in your fears, in the stories you tell yourself to avoid changing. He's the one you must face. And no one will see this fight. You won't receive glory or applause. But if you win, your whole life will change. Imagine yourself for a moment as a lone warrior on a vast inner plain. There are no spectators. There are no judges. You are alone with your demons, with your shadows, with the reflections of yourself. Every time you refuse to give in to laziness, you win a small victory. Every time you face a fear instead of running away from it, you win a duel. Every time you say no to a comfortable illusion, you come closer to your true strength. But beware, the inner battle never ends. It's not a war you win once and for all. It's a daily struggle. Your enemies will return again and again, disguised in new guises. That's why you must always keep your mind ready, sharp, like a blade that never rusts. Remember Seneca's words: "The man who conquers himself is mightier than the one who conquers armies." That's the truth. You can dominate lands, accumulate wealth, impress crowds, but if you're a slave to your own fears, you haven't conquered anything. On the other hand, if you win the war within yourself, no outside force can ever truly bring you down. So, close your eyes and ask yourself, what inner enemy do I face today? Is it the fear of rejection? Is it the anger that eats away at me? Is it the voice that tells me I'm not enough? Until you face this battle, all your outer victories will be fragile. The inner battle is silent, but it decides everything. He who flees it only prolongs his slavery. He who embraces it discovers a freedom that nothing can take from him. Sun Tzu taught, "Victory is reserved for those who know when to fight and when not to fight." These words have survived for centuries because they recall a simple truth: brute force is never enough. Many believe that power is in the muscle, in the momentum, in the ability to strike hard and fast. But those who have truly observed life know that victory belongs first to the one who thinks, who calculates, who waits. The true warrior is not just a fighter, he is a strategist of the mind. In the ancient plains of China, a general could win a war without even giving battle. By positioning his troops in the right positions, exploiting the terrain and anticipating the enemy, he had already won before the first shock. Sun Tzu also said, "The greatest art of war is to subdue the enemy without a fight." Apply this to your life. The goal is not always to respond to the attack, but to create an interior position so solid that the attack loses all its power. Similarly, the Stoics in Rome taught a wisdom that was not so far removed. Seneca wrote, "He who is master of himself is master of the world." For them, true empire was not measured in conquered lands, but in inner sovereignty. What is the point of dominating peoples if you are a slave to your anger? What is the point of building cities if you collapse at the first misfortune? Mental strategy is learning to refuse to yield to the inner enemy when it strikes. It's easy to react. When you're provoked, anger flares. When you're threatened, fear arises. When a gentle temptation presents itself, desire draws you in. But the strategist doesn't let himself be carried away by the first emotion. He observes. He calculates. He waits for the right moment. Like a general who refuses to send his troops into an ambush, You must learn to hold your mind in the storm. For the first reaction is rarely the wisest. Consider your daily life. Are you on the chessboard of your mind, making each move with intention, or are you simply a piece being moved by circumstances? When someone provokes you, do you choose your response or does your anger decide for you? When an opportunity presents itself, does your wisdom evaluate, or does your desire jump in headfirst? A true strategist does not allow himself to be tossed about by the winds. He is the wind. If you were a general, would you command your inner army with order and precision? Or would you let your soldiers, your thoughts, your emotions, your impulses, run wild and undisciplined? An undisciplined general leads his army to ruin. Likewise, a mind that fails to direct its emotions runs toward defeat. Look at history. Alexander the Great, Hannibal, Napoleon, all these strategists knew that war is not won only on the battlefield, but beforehand in preparation, in vision, in mastering time and space. Your life is no different. You can lose a battle if you rush into action too quickly, but you will never lose if you maintain control of your inner terrain. Stoic philosophy emphasized this idea. You don't control what happens, but you always control your response. And in that response lies your freedom. Epictetus, who had been a slave before becoming a master of wisdom, taught, "Don't wait for events to happen as you wish. Decide to will what happens, and you will be happy." This is the ultimate mental strategy. Turn every situation into an advantage by adjusting your mind instead of hoping the world will obey your desires. So ask yourself this: are you a spectator or a strategist in your own life? Do you live according to attacks and provocations, or do you structure your mind like a disciplined army, ready to maneuver? The strategist doesn't need to be the strongest, he must be the most lucid. You don't need to possess infinite resources. You must possess your calm. For a single clear mind can conquer 1,000 disordered men. History proves it, philosophy confirms it, and your personal experience already knows it. When you remain in control of yourself, nothing can truly shake you. A katana isn't forged in a day. The metal is heated, bent, and hammered hundreds of times until it becomes unbreakable. The mind follows the same process. Every habit, every small act of discipline, is a hammer blow that shapes you. Samurai train not only with their weapons but in every gesture of daily life. Eating, standing, walking, meditating, everything was an opportunity for improvement. Confucius taught, "The man who moves a mountain begins by moving small stones." Discipline is not a constraint, but a sacred ritual. And you, how do you train each day? Do you make your morning a silent victory? Do you transform mundanity into an invisible dojo where you sharpen your mind? If not, know that greatness never comes from a single heroic moment, but from the invisible consistency of each day. Beyond the blade, beyond the battles, there is a path that only the awakened can see. It is the Shugyo-Do, the path of inner training, where each breath is a meditation and each step an offering. The samurai prayed before fighting, not to survive, but to honor life and accept death. In this acceptance was born a freedom that nothing could break. Musashi wrote in the Book of Five Rings, "The true path of man is to accept death in all circumstances." This is not a call to despair, but to transcendence. To die each day to one's illusions, to be reborn each morning with a purer will, to walk with the awareness that everything is impermanent. This is true invincibility. So ask yourself, if your soul were a blade, is it still raw, rusty, hesitant? Or is it polished, sharpened, ready to reflect the light of eternity?